The American dream is making us lonely. We were taught that success equals having more space, more privacy, a big house with a locked front door. And so we chase square footage. We chase the gated community. But these things lead us to even more isolation from others. Many people would call these things success. I call it the thing that's killing us, loneliness. You see, I grew up in the exact opposite of this type of American dream. I'm the fifth of a family of 8, and by the time the dust settled, there were 10 of us living in a 1,900 square feet, 3-bedroom log cabin with 4 kids to a room. I was also homeschooled, which meant I was home all the time, crammed into the exact same small space as my other 7 siblings. But it was this experience that taught me the principles that changed my life. And it's the principles that I want to share with you today. I learned that sharing space creates connection. Sharing space creates community. And I was never lonely. That's not totally true. I should say I was never lonely until I left that environment and went out to go pursue the American dream. A few years into my career, I achieved what many would consider a huge milestone. I bought my own home at the age of 21 years old. I was so excited, finally, to get my own space without all my annoying and pesky siblings everywhere. I'll never forget that first night I walked in. I realized something was off. It was too quiet, and I was all alone. You see, I'd grown used to living with people. I'd grown used to the commotion. I hated the silence. So I immediately began renting out rooms in my home. Not because I needed the money, but to stop feeling alone. Now, my first housemate was a foreign national working at Bank of America from Mexico. My second housemate just needed affordable housing in a hurry, and I rented out a third room, which was really just half my living room, to a local construction worker. Now, one day I woke up with my new housemates, and I realized 3 simple but profound truths. Number 1, I was living for cheap. My housemates were helping me pay down my mortgage. 2, I was actually providing affordable housing to people who really needed it. And 3, I wasn't alone anymore. Now, this experience was so profound and so fun for me that I lived with housemates for the next 14 years of my life. Now, I'd like to suggest that the American dream is broken. At the very least, it's in need of a massive update. Let me explain why. Far too many people are feeling isolated in their own homes, are living on the streets, or are just financially strapped and they're struggling to make ends meet. Let me unpack each of these problems. A recent Harvard study came out and said that 61% of young adults suffer from serious loneliness. So let me translate that. Imagine 10 young adults on a sports team, or 10 young adults in your church group. 6 of them are seriously suffering. And you would never know what 6 because they're smiling and saying, I'm good. But are they good? In 2023, the US Surgeon General said that chronic loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I would not call that good. And homelessness is a national crisis. On any given night in America, over 750,000 people have no home to return to. 750,000. If that were a city, that'd be one of the largest cities in America, actually about the size of Charlotte, North Carolina. Except for this city would be filled with people just trying to survive, just trying to make it through the night. And the cost of housing, the cost of living is crushing people. 2/3 of working age renters do not have enough income to pay rent, plus pay for the basic necessities of life. So think of it this way. Picture 3 of your friends who rent. Picture 2 of them after rent day. They're deciding what doesn't get paid. Is it going to be childcare? It's going to be healthcare, the electric bill, food? And they're doing it quietly. So we have people without homes, people who can afford rent but can't afford the rest of life, and we have people who are literally dying from loneliness and isolation. Now, if you call that the American dream, then for many, it's a nightmare. But the solution to these challenges already exists. What if the answer wasn't something we had to build or create or do anything new? What if it was simply something we had to unlock? Right now in America, there are an estimated 32 million extra and unused bedrooms available right now, which means millions of us brush our teeth, flip off the hallway light, and walk past an empty bedroom or two as we go to bed, while someone else folds a hoodie into a pillow in the back seat of a car, sometimes just one street away. So yeah, we've got a loneliness crisis. We've got a housing crisis. But underneath that, we've got a much bigger problem. We've literally forgotten how to share. Now, my solution has a name. It's called co-living. I was one of the first people in America to promote this as a viable solution for workforce and affordable housing. Now, simply put, co-living is where someone rents a room, not the entire unit. So a renter would get a private bedroom, but they'd share the home's common spaces, the home's kitchen, the home's living room, the laundry areas. Now, what happens when you take a single family home and you convert it, you unlock it into a co-living home? Well, a few things. Number one, rent becomes instantly cheaper. Based on our research, renting a co-living room is about 50% cheaper than renting anything else on the market in a given area. Two, it kills loneliness. Renters get a built-in community into their home. And three, it helps the homeowners breathe. Renting out a room or two can help cover the mortgage. And to be really clear, this is also a viable business model. So co-living can be done by a homeowner who wants to rent out a room or two. It can also be done by an investor who buys a home and converts it to co-living on purpose. Now, when these homes are professionally managed with clear rules and background checks and accountability, it creates a clean, a quiet, and a safe place for someone to live, and it produces a great return for the investor. It's actually one of those few business models where doing something good for the world and making a great return actually line up. And this is also not theory. This actually is a model that's proven it works. Over the past few years, I've had the privilege of helping create thousands of these workforce housing rooms around the United States, including over 500 that are being used right now in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, you might be thinking, cool, this makes sense, Sam. I get it. I can follow the stats. But what can I do? Well, before I answer that, a quick story. About 8 months ago, I was in Asheville, North Carolina, and I met a guy who was down on his luck. And for a time, he was living out of his car. Now, after getting to know him and talking with him a little bit, I realized he's a good guy. He just had some bad luck. That was a little risky, but I trusted my gut, and I said he could stay for one night in my spare bedroom. It lit up like a Christmas tree. Really, he said? I said, yeah, why not? Come on, one night. Now, one night turned to two, turned to three, turned to four, not because he guilted me or forced me, but because we became friends. This whole time I'm thinking, I'm helping him, I'm changing his life. No, he actually changed my life. He showed me new parts of the city that I lived in that were really cool parts of the city that I didn't even know existed. He introduced me to a whole new genre of music that I ended up falling in love with. It's become a big part of my life. My life is forever changed for having the courage to share my home with someone. So what can you do? Well, I want you to go home to whatever space you live in, and I want you to just look at it with a fresh set of eyes. I just want you to pick an empty room, or maybe an extra bedroom, an office, a basement. I just want you to ask a simple question. Could this room change someone's life? You could rent it out below market to someone in need. You could host someone going through a difficult transition or a difficult divorce. You could partner with a nonprofit that is just begging to place people in this type of housing. And if living with someone isn't for you, you can still help. You could advocate for co-living friendly rules and policies. You could invest in a co-living home. At the very least, you could just make sure that you normalize the concept of having housemates. Help people realize that this is not a failure if you live this way. it can actually be a beautiful and fulfilling way to live. Now, if we all did what we could, the impact would be massive. You would become part of someone's life story in a powerful, positive way, in a way that could change you too. The practical impact is pretty obvious. Teachers could actually live closer to where they teach, students closer to where they go to school, workers closer to where they actually have the jobs. And the bigger impact is that we'd feel human again. There'd be less isolation, more connection, less people on the streets. So here it is. We have the rooms, 32 million last time I counted. We have the undeniable need for affordable housing. And we have the proof that isolation and loneliness are killing us. So as I wrap up, the question I want to leave you with is this: can we afford not to share? Thank you very much.